Mike, what do you got? Hold on, let me full screen this bad boy. Okay.
All right, so this is basically what you saw on the phone. So right now it looks like downstairs is running, is at 74. Is what the big number is what you set it to. The little number you can see on the little dial there, you may not be able to read it, but it says 75. So it's cooling from 75 down to 74. Upstairs I have a little bit cooler because the wife and all of them are going to get the
It's
bed.
just 74 in your. So is that the outside temperature on the upper right hand corner?
That is. It's usually a little bit off though.
Wow. Okay.
So it tells you that, and that way it keeps track of what the temperature is in your area versus, what your temperature in the
Right.
house is.
Right. Right.
So I can go to let's go to schedule. So I can go to schedule, and this is my schedule for the downstairs, and you can have as many of these as you want. I basically have in the morning at 4 o'clock. It's cooling it down a little bit, and then we have what's called time of use billing. So between 3 and 8 p.m. at certain times of the year, one like basically the summer, the utilities cost 3 times as much.
Yowza.
Every time, all the other time is half price if you go to this deal. The whole rest of the year and the weekends, the whole year. So we're using that thing. So I have it at 3 o'clock. It goes to 77 degrees. 8 o'clock it goes to 74. And then I let it warm up a little bit during the night because we're not downstairs.
Yeah.
And then I have a little bit different schedule for upstairs, and then the weekends is different too.
That's
You can
pretty
have
sweet.
you can have multiple ones set up too. It doesn't have to be just a few that I have. You can have a whole bunch of them. If you go over to energy, let's go back to downstairs. If I go over to energy, I can see it ran 5 hours yesterday, and then I can click on it and see when it ran.
Oh wow.
It ran when I told it to go to 73 in the morning. It ran, a little bit there, but around 4 a.m. or whatever. And then, of course, 77, when I had it change, it didn't run the whole afternoon. And then it's pretty interesting when you start stacking days and looking at how one day compared to the other day.
I think that right there is worth it.
That is, to me, having a Wi-Fi enabled. I don't know if you get all this kind of reporting from other Wi-Fi enabled ones.
Yeah.
But I have not regretted buying the Nest. I'm not
Right.
using it mainly for some of the things that they tout, the learning thing and auto away. But for me, it give them a lot of good information.
Did you
like
give
this.
that stuff a try and before you decided not to use it, or just on principle?
Oh, look at that! It got cool enough so it went black. So you'll see it go. It just turned from blue to black because it just got the temperature down.
So it just shut off.
Yeah, I had all that auto stuff on at first.
Okay.
And it just wasn't doing. It takes to do the learning. It takes about a month for it to do the learning. Well, I want to say here's when I want you to do stuff. So for me, it was just easier to set up a schedule. Doesn't mean I don't go up to it sometimes and turn it down.
Right.
Because maybe it was a little bit too warm or whatever, and I wanted to turn it down. The other thing is, so you go over to settings, you can see the humidity inside the house too, which is pretty cool.
Huh.
It keeps up the
So
humidity.
it's got a what do they call them? What do you call that?
I don't know.
Humidistat, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That in the unit.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you go over to the Nest Sense where you can set up auto away, and I have that turned off. Auto schedule, and actually that's turned on, but I'm not using it. Time to temp, that is where after a certain amount of time it will learn that if it's 76 degrees and you set it to 74, it's going to take an hour to get there. So it'll give you an estimate on how long it's going to take to get to the temperature you want from the temperature that it's at. That's on. You can do early on. I don't have that turned on. What that basically says, if you want it to be 74 at 6 o'clock, I know it takes me, and look at that, the upstairs just finished too. Early on means if you want it to be 74 at 6 o'clock, I will come on however long it takes me early to get it to that temperature rather than start trying to get it to that temperature at that time. I will come on at 5 o'clock to get it to that temperature at 6 o'clock. I have it turned off because that's just, I know at this time I want it to go to start going to that temperature. Cool to dry. That's if you run that if you want to bring that humidity in your house versus the temperature. It'll run extra to bring the humidity down. Sunblock, that's not an issue for me, but it's like it's supposed to be. If the the device is being hit by sunlight, if it's in a spot where the sunlight is hitting it at a certain time of day, it tries to counter that because it will raise the temperature of the device. It tries to counter that. The leaf, I don't really know how that works, but basically I think it just comes on. Like if you turn the thermostat higher than what it is right now, so it shuts itself off. So if it's 74 in your house right now and you set the thermostat to 76, it says, "Oh, good job, you're saving energy." I have it turned on, but it doesn't really do much. And then the airwave, what that basically does is, when it's done cooling, let's say it gets to 74, it'll stop the compressor, but the A coils still have some coolness in them. So it will run the fan a little bit longer to get some of that coolness that's already there out. So it's supposed to be a energy saving thing where you're not using all the energy to cool the coils, but you're using up some of that coolness that was already there.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty neat.
That's very cool. Rennie was saying in chat, it takes a lot of energy savings for that thing to pay for itself, right? You paid $500, right, for those two?
For the two, yeah.
Oh,
And I did not buy this just for the energy savings. It probably is not going to, pay for itself in that sense. I wanted something that I had access to on the phone, that I had, had this kind of data. So this is valuable information to me, even if it's not going to in the long run save me. I'm sure you can get another Wi-Fi or programmable thermostat that would do, fairly good too. But I wanted all this information.
Yeah, no, I like the reporting, and it's very simple. Right?
Yeah, no,
it's simple and easy to understand, easy to operate. Some of those are written by designers, written by developers, and they're not very user-friendly interfaces. And
or aesthetic.
yeah, like this one you want to be in all the time. You're like, oh, this is really cool. It's slider bars and.
The funny thing is, I rarely go to the thermostat to actually do anything.
Yeah,
you almost always have your phone with you. So if you're sitting there on the couch and you want to change the temperature, you can just do it from your phone. You don't have to get up. That's really lazy, but you can do that.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's kind of just zip it down. And so, like, say you're warm and you're going to bring it down. How many degrees do you bring it down generally?
If I'm warm,
say you're warm, it's summer, and you're warm, and you want to cool it down. How
maybe
many
2 degrees. Maybe
Okay.
2 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing, we did get new AC units at the same time, and these have done a much better job of controlling humidity in the house than the other ones did. So we used to always keep our thermostats at 72 because the old ones did not control the humidity as well. What we're finding with the new ones is, because they're controlling humidity much better, 72 is too cold in our house now. So we've kept it at 74, and sometimes that gets a little too cool. That humidity makes such a big difference, and that has nothing to do with the Nest. That's the new stuff.
Yeah. You have what your compressors are more efficient than the other ones. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Christian.